Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to week 9 of my business updates. Man, I have been gone for a little bit and I haven't updated you guys. And I realize, it doesn't really make sense to post an update every single week just for the sake of uploading a video. And so I really want these videos to actually be meaningful and to have some sort of information and depth to them. I figured that I might as well just post these videos whenever there are actually important things going on, whether they're in the Amazon news side of things or just in business updates and other information that I want to share with you guys. So with that being said, it has been a while since my last post, and so many things have changed for me with my company. For one, I posted a few weeks ago about how I was looking to hire an employee, and then I actually hired an employee. And then last week, I actually ended up having to, unfortunately, fire that employee. Man, that was a pretty stressful time for me, I'm not gonna lie. And I realized that I was compromising my own work ethics and my own standards because the candidate and the employee that I hired was just, to be honest, not very good. And obviously I am personally to blame for pretty much all of it because I'm the one that hired him. But this whole process has been a big learning experience for me because I'm now learning and continually growing in understanding the qualities and characteristics of a warehouse employee that I'm looking for because it's my first time hiring for this position. The candidate that I had would chronically show up late. The only day that he was ever on time was just the first day. His work was extremely sloppy. He didn't have sort of organization to the way that he was working. So he would prep products and then he would mix prepped and unprepped products in the same pile. And as we're packing products, we realized that there's so many barcode labels left over, meaning that the units that we were packing were missing barcodes. And so we had to spend so much time fixing errors, fixing mistakes. Even after we fixed those errors, he would place the wrong UPS label with the wrong Amazon barcode label on the outside of the box. So we had to fix a lot of those problems. The prep work that he did was generally pretty sloppy. The poly bags that the bundled products would go in would just look awful, just super sloppy and shoddy work. And on top of that, he also just worked extremely slowly. Every time I would step out of the warehouse and I would come back, I would just see him scrolling on his phone or like trying to take a nap, which is pretty crazy, right? Like you wouldn't expect that kind of work ethic from an employee. I really tried to make things work out with him, to try to be honest about what I'm looking for. And I just realized that it just wasn't a really good fit. And the only thing that we could do is to just split ways. And to make myself feel even worse, after I had let him go and fired him, he texted me that evening and asked for a second chance. And I already felt like crap having to fire someone because it never feels good, but that made me feel even worse. But obviously it doesn't make sense to keep him on board. Horrible employee by all means. And so obviously I said no, but I did give him some advice, because he's a young kid, maybe 20 years old. And I just told him, hey, in life it's important to be detail-oriented, to pay attention, to put in your honest work, to improve your work ethic. These are skills that will translate to any job, whether it's in my company or in any other company that you work for. Very important to do an honest day's worth of work, especially if people are paying you a pretty good wage. I'm paying pretty high for this position, so I'm looking for a candidate that meets those expectations. That means I now don't have a warehouse employee and I've gone back to doing the prep work myself for the meantime. I have a bunch of candidates who have expressed interest through my job posting online. Looking into those this week and weekend and be reaching out to those candidates to see if any of them fit the bill. Now, the cool thing about my last employee, even though he didn't do a very good job and I'd have to double check all of his work, if I have to be honest, he did really help during a very stressful season of my company. And so for that, I'm extremely grateful. The month of September was honestly just prepping for Q4 and getting all of the inventory prepped and out the door. And he definitely helped with that. I think each day collectively we were prepping about 600 units, which is pretty good. Obviously, if you worked faster, that number could easily be 1,000 just between the two of us. And so his labor definitely helped me get through the busy season, which is why I'm gonna take my time in hiring the next person, because now that the busy work is over, I can, take a little bit of a deep breath and really go into the hiring process of the next candidate just with a little bit more scrutiny and out of a little bit less desperation to really take my time in finding the right candidate. With that being said, September was a fantastic month for my company. We did $60,633 in revenue, which makes September the best month to date, outside of obviously January, February, which still had residual sales from the holiday hangover. September beat my sales in August. So in August, I did 55K. And now in September, I did about 60K. So that's a 9 or 10% increase in sales month over month, which is fantastic. And the cool thing is that, once we get past the summer lull, sales really begin to pick up, leading into Q4 and the holidays. In e-commerce, the busiest season is obviously Q4, October, November, December, and the slowest season is typically in the summertime. And so now that we're past that, I'm really excited to see what all the hard work and heavy lifting that I've been doing throughout the entire year will translate to coming into the best, supposedly, quarter of the year. In addition to that, Amazon had a Prime Day event on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. This year it was a 2-day event, and our sales during those 2 days were great. And I think that's a pretty good indicator of what's gonna happen in Q4. Now, obviously, I was not really expecting these Prime Days to really be of significance and of value, just because Amazon kind of just throws these Prime Days around willy-nilly. They could be random lengths in time. I think in the summertime it was a week long, and now it's 2 days, and I think people are maybe being burnt out by all of these random promotions. But to my surprise, sales were really good over the past few days. Just over those 2 days alone, we did $6,000 in sales, which is phenomenal. I've been telling the people in my wholesale network, as I've kind of become more of a coach in that community, that the journey from 0 sales to 1,000 sales per day was pretty hard. It required a sort of retooling of the way that you think about business. It requires you building your operational procedures from the ground up. It requires, just a systematic process in the way that you do things in order to just start selling and be able to do about $1,000 in sales. But the cool thing is that going from $1,000 a day in sales to $3,000 a day in sales is actually pretty easy. And it was much easier than I thought that it would be. Because you already have that foundational ground layer done. And so it's easy to kind of just build on top of that. Once you already have the processes in place, you have employees working for you, you have things happening around the clock. And I think that's really cool. One of the small joys that I had this week was finally taking the plunge and buying an electronic kraft tape dispenser. If you guys haven't heard of these tape dispensers already, definitely go to Google or Reddit and look for electronic kraft tape dispenser. I've never seen anyone say anything bad about them. Everyone just talks about how revolutionary they are and how much they change their business and operations. And so I've been wanting to get one for a really long time. I just could never justify the damn cost because it's like over $1,300 for this stupid tape dispenser. So typically, when you package a box, you would have a sort of tape gun where you would just apply the plastic tape around your box, and then you seal it, it'd be good to go, and you can send it out. But the more professional way, and I guess the faster way of putting tape on your boxes is by using a kraft tape dispenser. Kraft tape is like what you get when you order a package on Amazon. They don't use plastic tape, they use this sort of like paperish material tape with adhesive underneath to kind of seal the boxes. And in that paper, there is fiberglass woven in so that it gives more sort of integrity to the tape structure itself. And the result is threefold. The first thing is that oftentimes packing is faster because you use these tape dispensers to dispense tape more rapidly. Number two, you get a stronger piece of tape that is less likely to break in transit because kraft tape is stronger than plastic tape, and if you get the one that has the fiberglass woven in it, it becomes even stronger. Number three is that it's more eco-friendly, so we're not using any plastic and these boxes can be recycled more easily. I've been eyeballing these electronic kraft tape dispensers for a while now since I started my e-commerce business, but I could never justify the cost because they're so freaking expensive. A brand new one would cost maybe between $1,300 to $1,700, depending on which brand and what quality you want to go for. And that's a massive expense to pay for just packing boxes faster. So I could never justify spending that much money on like a tape dispenser. But since things have been going better in my company, and after my experience hiring my previous employee, I noticed that, just some people really struggle with plastic tape, that it took him way too long to apply tape to a box using a tape gun. He would make a lot of mistakes, so he would have to apply more than one strip of tape each time to secure the boxes. And so this electronic kraft tape dispenser would essentially not only speed up the process to secure these boxes and seal these boxes faster, but it would also make sure that it's done correctly as well so that these boxes don't open in transit and we don't lose our expensive and valuable products. So I've been using this really damn expensive ass tape dispenser for the past few days and it's been honestly a lot of fun. The version I have has a water reservoir which the tape slides over to activate the adhesive underneath the tape, and then it cuts the tape automatically. And it also has a heating element near the brushes in the front so that it heats up the water to activate the adhesive even more. So yeah, I got a higher end one and decided to splurge a little bit. Man, the author of Profit First, Mike Michalowicz, would kill me if he knew how much I spent on this damn tape dispenser. The good news here is that these tape dispensers are supposed to be a workhorse and a beast and last you a lifetime, so this expensive cost that I'm paying right now will hopefully continually pay off until the end of my business. The last thing I want to talk about is next week I'm going to be in New Jersey/New York for Sellers United. Now, this is an annual conference for e-commerce Amazon sellers with guest speakers. It's going to be a lot of networking. Amazon themselves are going to have a presence at the show as well. And so I'm definitely excited to be there and to see my friends and also network with new people. So maybe I can try to film some content out there. We'll see what happens. But if you're going to be in New Jersey for the event, hit me up. Would love to meet up and meet some new people. All right, guys, that's it for me for this week. I hope you guys are having a great beginning to your Q4. If you're not excited for what's gonna happen to your sales in Q4, definitely get excited because this is gonna be a really fun season when your numbers just kind of go through the roof. And so I wish you guys a lot of success this Q4 and I hope you guys kill it. I will see you guys next time.